Greetings, I'm Dr. Jamila Codrington, and I am here to talk to you today about depression. Yes, depression, 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 depression. Let us say it and let us continue to say it. We can no longer operate within a culture of silence. We don't have the luxury to do that, not anymore. I'm a licensed psychologist based in New York City, and I am the founder and CEO of Asili Services, where I'm committed to providing holistic and culturally relevant psychological intervention for people of African descent to empower individuals and communities and raise awareness about social justice issues. But above all, I am here, as are all of you, as a manifestation of our ancestors' will to survive, as a manifestation of their hopes, their prayers, their wildest dreams, and their resilience. So when we think about depression, we have to think about it not only as an individual issue, but a family issue, a community issue, and an issue that makes us accountable to our ancestors, to our children, and to our unborns. So when we put this issue of depression in its proper perspective, we can truly understand that it's not just a fight for us, but it's a fight for our legacy. It's a fight for all of the things that have been pushed forward for hundreds of years for us to be here today. So we cannot afford to give up on ourselves. We cannot afford to be separated from our divine purpose. So we really need to set the record straight and educate ourselves about how prevalent depression is in our Black community. So why are people of African descent more susceptible to depression? Our historical experiences in this country, hands down, we test positive for almost all of the risk factors associated with mental illness: social and economic inequality, exposure to racism and discrimination, increased prevalence of chronic health conditions, and less access to treatment for mental health conditions. So we have this double whammy. While we have higher rates of depression, we also seek treatment for depression significantly less. So this is no surprise because of our history of trauma and victimization in this country, right? So we have this byproduct of cultural mistrust towards the U.S. healthcare system. And although seeking treatment for depression has grown more common among Black people, the taboo and the stigma, they still exist. We have a slew of outdated narratives that have allowed us to survive in this country and adapt historically, but it no longer serves us. They've been passed down generation after generation after generation. Only the strong survive. Just be quiet, pray it away, chalk it up, get dressed, fix your face, put on your best outfit, and keep going. Avoiding emotions has been a survival technique, which has now become this cultural habit for people of African descent. But it's also a significant barrier for us seeking treatment for mental health issues, particularly depression. So as a result, we are more likely to deal with the shame that many people feel about poor mental health and depression in much of the same way that we avoid the emotional toll that it takes on us. We push it under the rug. We show up wearing the mask, right? And the mask is oftentimes very convincing because we come through, hair and nails done, looking like $1 million, but deep down inside, feeling like crap. Getting so used to depression that it literally becomes the air we breathe. Researchers at Mental Health America find that African Americans are actually more likely to believe that depression is normal. So not only do a number of African Americans not understand depression to be a serious mental health condition, but the stereotype of the strong Black woman particularly leads many African American women to believe that they don't have the luxury or the time to experience depression. Some even believe that therapy is for white folk, right? We hear that all the time. It's not for us. Why would I talk to a stranger and pay for it at that when funds are limited? But it's time for us to shed these historically rooted and sometimes racist and sexist characterizations of the strong Black woman. It sets us up for unrealistic expectations, thinking about Black women as unshakable, unmessable with, and stronger than life. As a Black psychologist, it is extremely troublesome that so many people from our community are reluctant to make use of professional mental health services to overcome emotional hurdles. But once you've found a good therapist who is able to successfully facilitate your healing process, it can be like you found the cheat code for life, like a really good emotional multivitamin that supplements our overall health. And now with telemental health, it makes it even easier to gain support. But alternative supplements to our soul care practices should not be disregarded, because not everything that's therapeutic is therapy, right? So people can experience profound benefits of meditation, yoga, breath work, herbal supplements, movement and dance rituals, and of course music, which is our spoken medicine. But sometimes you do need more, and it's difficult to decipher when. How do you disentangle the normal ups and downs in life, and being in a rut or being in a funk, or a low season because of difficult life circumstances, from actual clinical diagnosable depression? So just think about this. Depression is when you're repeatedly waking up in the morning, authentically feeling like you are not yourself. You might not be able to put your finger on it, but you know something is wrong. You might have excessive bouts of sad mood, falling asleep in a bed full of tears. Or you might be excessively irritable, right? Walking around just tight, upset with everyone, easily frustrated, very little grace, even for our loved ones. We can be socially withdrawn, right? Turn our ringer off, decline every single invitation that comes through from friends, or maybe it's the opposite, where every day we slay. We get up, we do everything we can to put our face on, to go out, hold our head up high, but inside we are extremely unhappy, hopeless, fearful, sometimes even anxious. Depression and anxiety have quite a bit of comorbidity. Trouble sleeping, no desire to get out of bed, sometimes just closing the blinds, and not having any desire to get up and do anything. Sometimes our self-care falls to the wayside. Ruminating thoughts, intensive worry, difficulty concentrating, even with things that we've done over and over again, it can be hard to focus. Appetite changes, right? So sometimes we're eating everything in sight, or we barely have an appetite and we begin to lose weight. We can feel constantly fatigued. We don't enjoy the things that we used to enjoy. We could also have a lot of anger and rage and engage in a lot of self-destructive practices. And sometimes we see that a lot more with our males, because there's this more of a social norm around aggression. But let's not be confused that oftentimes under that anger is a layer of morbid depression and sadness. Sometimes it really seeps into our body, and we can have somatic complaints, headaches, stomach aches, right? And at the worst case scenario, we can have reasons where we just feel like it doesn't even seem worth it anymore. We could be plagued with the idea of harming ourselves. So if you've ever had these symptoms, especially if it's lasted for over 2 weeks, it's a sign that it's time to potentially get some help. And the message is always in the music, right? So Solange has beautifully conveyed to us, we can't sex it away, we can't smoke it away, we can't drink it away, we can't dance it away, we can't shop it away, we can't travel it away, work it away. And sometimes, we have to just confront it head on. So this is a spotlight that is also important for creatives. The stress of being a success as an artist and as a creative cannot be overlooked. Being compared to other individuals and what they've achieved. Creatives and artists are talented and driven, but sometimes can feel lost and unworthy, struggling to find a path to make a living through their craft. Clinical psychologists and researchers have actually found disproportionate rate of mood disorder among highly creative people, namely renowned writers, composers, artists. There seems to be a link between creativity and some of the mental health issues like bipolar condition and depression. The cognitive style and temperament associated with mental health issues sometimes can actually boost creativity, where you could feel like you have extreme focus, restlessness, and little need for sleep. And that can be seen as a temporary advantage for a creative, right? Or you could respond to the world with this idea that you're more creative when you have these bouts of extreme energy and everything is just focused on that. And actually that could be a sign of the manic part of bipolar condition. So we want to really think about the fact that we can't romanticize illness, especially within the creative community. We have to understand that mental health issues look differently for different people. And sometimes what we think is serving us and is what gives us our high is actually connected to a larger tapestry of mental health issues. So keep in mind, life is a journey. Each day is an opportunity to experience something new in our lives. And even when we feel overwhelmed, let us not resent it. Let us not try to hide the darkness inside. Treat it with care, courage, and grace. It's here for us to learn from. This is a part of our human experience, and it's valuable if we can learn how to push through it. Give it a stage, give it a platform, give the darkness some light. Be brave, be bold enough to be vulnerable and tell your story. Be bold enough to break the silence. And although it may not be obvious, look for how depression hides in the nooks and crannies of your life, coloring your thoughts, your feelings, your expectations, and your actions, suffocating your divine destiny by sucking the oxygen out of your dreams. Every person was born for a divine purpose. Don't let depression make it hard to travel that road. Join others in a willingness to tell your story and embrace the truth. Free yourself from the yoke of depression. Detox your mind and spirit, and let healing be at the top of your agenda. The time is now. It is your birthright.